I absolutely love that phrase you just said there. You want to be eyes on but hands off.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I feel that's a really great way of summarising. I think that balance between empowering people and trusting people, but also maintaining ultimate accountability for whatever's taking place.
It's all the responsibility that a manager has.
Yeah.
Say you've got residents, you've got staff, you've got commissioners, you've got regulators, you've got everybody demanding that bit of you, and you're trying to spin all these plates at the same time, and it's never easy, and it's such a challenge because those are the behaviours that actually made you into the manager that you are, because you can juggle those plates, you can do everything at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's just recognising that it's happening, and most managers don't. I supported a manager a few years ago who I could see what was happening to her. We did a bit of a staff survey, and the survey came back saying, well, we never see the manager. She's always locked in her office. And I thought, set alarm bells ringing. So I went over to see her and spent a bit of time with her. And yeah, she was just completely exhausted, physically and mentally. She just got to the stage where she couldn't see the wood for the trees. So yeah, it's very common.
So one of the common, I guess, pitfalls to fall into when you're in that kind of frazzled, burnt-out zone is that you kind of shut the door in terms of the office. So the things that staff used to see, so the open door policy, walking around the home, actually they become a little bit more withdrawn from the team. That's something that you've seen.
They do, but on the opposite side, they'll have their door open all the time because there is an open door policy, so they're available to the team the whole time, where they should just sort of make that valuable time for the team rather than just allowing the team to come and go as they please, because they're trying to be everything to everybody, and it's physically impossible. It does catch up with you and you hit the wall. It's a common mistake that managers make, especially newly promoted or newly qualified managers. They struggle with the delegation. Yeah, the theory and the practice is very different.
Yeah, because in theory it sounds really simple, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, we both know that in practice it's more difficult than that, because there's other things involved. There's kind of maybe emotions or the potential fear of failure, even though it's not failure. It probably seems like that.
Oh yeah, and I think the theory is it empowers the team members that you delegate to and frees up your time. And streamlines how the care home, in my situation, is run. But it doesn't always work that way, because in practice, as you say, it's high pressure environment. There's always something going on. The delegation can become extremely messy, and risky. It could be hindered because you've had 2 people ring in sick. Someone's going on escort duty to hospital with a resident, and your delegation goes out the window. You end up taking it back and doing it yourself anyway. So, understanding the gap between the theory and the practice for a new manager takes a bit of time, getting used to.
But how do you always check in rather than check up? And once again, we've used that phrase before, haven't we? Checking in rather than checking up. But how do you still check in when you're taking that hands-off approach? Do you have a technique for that?
Yeah, so keep a middle ground where I'm very much eyes on but hands off.
Right, okay.
So I'm seeing what they're doing, and I've got governance systems where I can track the robust, so I know what I'm asking them to do is being done and it's been done correctly. But the hands off is giving them the autonomy to do what they're doing, and build their confidence. Let them run with it. If I can see through the governance and through my eyes on approach that they're doing really well, they're doing what I've asked them to do, and they're doing it to a very high standard, then I will be hands off. I think you have to create psychological safety. You have to say to them, you're in a safe place. You can tell me what you may have seen, what you think you've seen, and that I will investigate and I will find out if it actually happened. If it didn't and something was just taken the wrong way, or you saw something that didn't actually happen, then we will have that discussion. It's not being punitive. It's not saying, oh, well, you can't report, or, it'll be a bad mark on your record, if you like. It's making sure that they're protected and that they're relieved.
And it all sounds great in kind of theory, and I 100% get that. And I'm just thinking about how do we as leaders and managers kind of demonstrate that that is okay? So is it about sharing examples? Is it a best practice? Is it about sharing examples of when we've learnt something because somebody has been open and honest and talked freely? Or I don't know. I'm just trying to think about how do we actually do that?
What I do is I basically have it as a standing agenda item on each meeting I do, whether that's my daily flash meeting or my monthly staff meeting or my heads of department meeting.
Yeah.
I'll talk about any issues that have been raised, and I'll say, you know, we're not in a punitive society here in this environment. It's all about lessons learned. What could we have done better? What prevented people from speaking up earlier? I've been, as you said previously, parachuted into homes where they've had significant issues, all because people were afraid to speak up,
Yeah.
because the finger would then be pointed at them, or well, they went and said what had happened when, you know, it had been swept under the carpet for so long. And it's creating that safety within the team where they'll say, I think I've seen something, I'm going to speak to Laura because I know she'll do something about it. I don't want them to ever be afraid of reporting it, and I don't want them to start to be worried when they're on shift because they've seen something, and then they're terrified to go and work with that person who they may have seen doing something inappropriate. So it's making sure that the culture, and that it's on every meeting agenda, and that it's part of their daily routine, if you like.
Yeah.